All right, here we are. Any given Sunday sports special. We're ready. I'm on the little tiny screen.
I
This
got
mop head is on the big screen.
I got my drink.
Hey, I don't know if that's legal.
I got my nice hair going on. I got my headphones in. I got my cheat sheets. I'm ready to go, man.
Let's do
Go.
this. We have too much to get to. We have very little bit amount of time. YouTube doesn't let us go all day every day, so let's get right to it. Steve, what do you want to start off with, my man?
Let's start off with the trades that went down. We'll hit that. Then we'll go into that pre-draft that we did. Then we'll go into winners and losers. Then we'll go into rivalries. Then we'll go into what everybody needs to do into the draft. Then we'll go into predictions, and then we cut it off there, my friend.
Let's go for it right away. Powers send $41 to Dom for Tom Brady. Tom Brady then gets suspended, so the trade becomes null and void.
It's null and void. Nothing to talk about there. It didn't
Next
happen.
one.
He gets suspended. Next.
And Anthony sends Cam Newton to Dennis for $69, trade option included.
I mean, this one at the time makes sense because it was 10 teams. Um, hey, he made a lot of money, but unfortunately, times have changed. It's now 8 teams. He probably could have gotten a little bit more money. I'm gonna keep beating this into the
Inflation,
session.
inflation, inflation.
Inflation. When you hear those words, that means that price needs to go up. Okay. And I think Anthony, now, I mean, he didn't know at the time, so I can't fault him, but I think it was a good deal for both. I get it. I get it.
Listen. It's just this is very simple. Dennis did what he does. Came into the
Yes.
league. He said, "I need to first thing is secure my quarterback." I believe Cam Newton's keeper tag is $18 after this year. So yes, you overpay this year, but for the future years, you are good to go. As far as for Anthony, I understand the inflation part, but I think Anthony did get top dollar. My issue isn't the amount of money that he got. My issue is the fact that you got the money. Who are you going to spend it on? Antonio Brown is gone. Odell Beckham is gone. Le'Veon Bell is gone. Adrian Peterson is gone. Julio Jones is gone. I mean, the list
Best
goes on
player,
and on.
best player right now, David Johnson.
Blah. Not
Yeah.
that he's a bum,
Yikes.
but blah. Let's get to the next trade. New York Power send AJ Green at $7 to Dom for Odell Beckham.
I look. I'm gonna make this short and sweet. I get the long term play of what Dom's trying to do, but you have an Odell Beckham, and an Odell Beckham goes for a lot of money. You should have asked for a lot of money. You should have been just swimming in it, and then also have an AJ Green to kind of run around and kind of show him around like you just won the Oscar. You know what I mean? That's what you should have done, but you didn't. You went. You got a little what? $12 is what you gave him. 10, maybe a
Well, as
dollar.
far as that, how
Did you
much
give him
he
fifty
made out of it, the
cents?
profit was seven
Yeah,
dollars.
you gave him like 50 cents. Right,
Seven
exactly.
dollars.
Right. Exactly. So my point is, you could have made more money. Okay. What do you got to say about
Look,
this?
man. At the end of the day, people are being very short-sighted about this. At the end of the day, look. I know you would have paid like 90 for Odell Beckham in the draft. You've told me this
Easily,
multiple
easily,
times.
easily.
You've offered me $85 in the past for AJ Green. So if we do
In
the
the
math,
past, whoa, whoa, whoa.
I gave him $7. $7 I gave him. So 7 plus 85 equals 92, which then means that he received the market value for
My
it.
friend, my friend. When did I offer this to you? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right?
2 years ago, first of all,
Okay, and then
he's
and then the
28
second thing,
years old. You act like
why
he's an old man.
why did you move him now?
Because
Why
I've got
why
another
did you
keeper that
decide to
just came to
why
my
did you
team.
decide to move him now?
Because
Huh?
I have another keeper that's joined my
Huh?
team now.
Yeah, okay.
No, he's 28 years old. There is no downfall yet. That hasn't
Okay.
even hit him yet. Come on, man. Let's go to the next one. New York Power sent $51 to Lewis for Adrian Peterson. Boy, here we go.
I'm going to speak for the rest of the teams that are upset because there are a lot of teams that were apparently upset. I
One
commend you.
team, one team was crying about it.
I'm jealous. I wish I could get deals this good, man. I mean, I need to go to the training lines of Jesus Rodriguez and do you have a booklet? Do you have a CD? Does it come with a little DVD in a packet? Do I got to pay $49.99 a month? What do I got to do here to
This
get these type of
man.
trades? All right. I mean, look. The reality is, I think Lewis didn't understand that there are only 8 teams.
And
Inflation.
inflation.
All right, the guy you should have gotten Adrian Peterson today is worth $70. That's what he is. He's not $50. He's $70. He would have went for $70 in the draft. He sold him too late. That's just my opinion. Good job to the power. I don't hate. And I don't hate. I'm just a little jelly that I don't get deals like this.
Listen. At the end of the day, Lewis wasn't going to keep Adrian Peterson. His thought process was get something as opposed to nothing and letting him walk for absolutely nothing. And that's what he did. Say whatever you guys want, but at the end of the day,
You got five.
he made some. He can go now from $70 for a player to 75 for a player.
Oh yeah, because
So,
that's just going to be huge in this year's
and it
draft.
was
Of
six
course.
dollars, not five.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's go ahead. D
Six
Town
dollars is the
sends
world.
D Town sends Jonathan Stewart to Anthony for $27. Trade option is included.
I love how you're smiling because you know I'm right. But we'll go to the next trade. Look,
Smiling because you're hating.
the reality of this trade is it makes absolutely no sense. Why did you do this trade, Anthony? Why? It made no sense. You just made a stronger Dennis. I'm actually upset with this because you made it difficult for me. The man's in my division, all right? Do this with somebody against, in Jesus's division, okay? Not in my division, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the trade. It didn't make any sense to me. Good on Dennis. He made money.
D Town strikes again. D Town I think actually has more lightning and thunderstorms than the old school storm did
Oh,
in the
all right.
past.
Hey,
I'm
calm
just
down there,
saying.
guys.
I'm
Calm
just
down
saying.
there. It's a
This,
fighting words.
I'm just saying. If we really look at this deal, I mean, Jonathan Stewart. First of all, his keeper tag isn't even under $10. I think it's like $18, $19. So you don't even get an option to keep him really in the future. He's not. I mean, what was he? I believe he was like number 24 ranked fantasy back this year. 14. I'm
He's
sorry.
low. He's down there.
14 according to ESPN the magazine. 14 ranked fantasy back. Yeah. I mean, it just logically you could have still got him. Dennis wasn't going to keep him. Dennis has Cam Newton. He's not going to keep Cam Newton and Jonathan Stewart. So it was just a bad move overall. And Dennis strikes again.
No.
And yes, Steve, I'm not saying that Dennis's roster is at your level yet, but he has Cam Newton, Keenan Allen, Jonathan Stewart, and over $110. So what you should be doing right now is looking over that shoulder.
Oh, I totally get it. I totally get it.
And then lastly, we have Dom sends Kelvin Benjamin to Rich for $50, no trade option included.
You miss one.
I know you
You
love
miss
this one.
one. You
I
miss
did.
one.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yes, Dom sends Amari Cooper to Steve for $51, trade option included. Oh yes, you made sure you
Yeah,
checked me on that.
yeah. Because I want you to give the opportunity on how you didn't like this trade. So go on,
Well,
go for it.
I didn't like the trade just because, I mean, it's not that I don't like Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is a very talented receiver. But there's no keeper friendly tag. He's in the 20s. Not great. It's all right, I guess, the keeper tag. But then you add on top of that, you really traded him so you can then move him to get something else, which you weren't able to do. So that puts you in a position now where, not that you're stuck with him, but your word's inflation. So if we add inflation, he's
Mm-hmm.
probably around a $35 to $45 receiver for this year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
You paid 51 for him, so you paid more than the actual inflation price. So that's my issue with it, and it's not like you're paying more because you can then keep him in the future. Well, you could, but do you really want to pay 26? I believe his keeper tag is probably not.
Yeah, and look, and I'll be very honest. I
As
did
far as
overpay
good
with
deal
him.
for Dom.
Yeah, and I did overpay for him, and that's fine. But again, and you could vouch for this. I've said off the record that I've liked Amari Cooper. I
Since he
do.
since he since he was coming out of college, that's true.
Yeah, I like Amari Cooper. I've been a Amari Cooper fan. The purpose of the deal was to give me more flexibility to move my guys, so I can move an Amari Cooper. I can move Evans. I can move a T.Y. Hilton. Heck, I could even move a Des Bryant for somebody. He's cheap. I got him for $40, so it just gave me more options to move. The trade that I wanted to happen didn't go down. It's not the end of the world. The way I look at it is, my wide receiver roster set. I go into the draft not having to worry about that position. All I got to do is get a running back and a tight end, and I got $79 to do that with. And I don't have a pretty. My fourth worst guy, if you argue, is either between
Ty.
T.Y. Hilton
It's Ty.
or Cooper.
It's Ty.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with it.
Okay. And I mean, we'll see. Well, I mean, it's a Steve type move, so I like it. It's risky. And then lastly, we have Dom. Dom sends Kelvin Benjamin to Rich for $50, no trade option included. Yeah, I think you have something to say about this.
This one I just didn't understand because it felt like we hit a panic button without needing to hit the panic button. That's just what it was. It was like, oh my gosh, all these guys are coming off the board one after another. There's nobody left to draft, so let me just spend $50 to go get this guy. That's what it seemed like. I get though. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin's $1 keeper tag is phenomenal, and if he comes to any of the vicinity of what he should be, which is near the level of a Mike Evans and a T.Y. Hilton and guys that are in that range, I should say, if not higher, Rich made out. Rich did great. But for this year, the risk is in Kelvin Benjamin. And if Kelvin Benjamin is not that guy, it's just going to be really tough for Rich to come out of that. And the only reason why I know this is I went through the same thing last year with the same guy I drafted. And then I had to trade him away because he got injured. So that's where the risk is.
I completely agree. This is not a Rich usually usual type of move either, because Rich is the type he doesn't take many risks in drafts. He doesn't do that. Rich
No.
is quiet type, just gets players that you're like, that's all right. This wasn't one of those type of. This was a I'm gonna take a risk. I believe in this guy type of move. I personally didn't like it, only simply because I don't know if Kelvin Benjamin can become the guy that we thought he would be. Now, this is one of those trades, Steve. You and I always tell you this. When I
Yeah.
do a trade, I like low risk, high reward type deals, as you can see with the trades that I've done this year.
Yep.
Now, the way Rich did this deal, this is a high risk, high reward. So it's either going to really work or it's not. My fear is because he has Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman, who I assume he's going to keep Julio Jones. That means he has two guys from the same team. His
Yep.
every week is going to rely on those two guys, and if those two guys don't come through, then the next man that he's going to rely on that's going to be big for him is this man who he paid $50 for. And
Yep.
that's the question. Can he live up to that hype? I don't know if he can.
Yeah.
But the keeper tag, if it works out, the keeper tag is huge.
All right. Now we're going to go into the pre-draft, go over these pre-draft that we did, go a little bit over each player, and then
Yes,
we're going to rank who the winners and the losers were. So I'm going to
definitely.
start it off from the top to the bottom, from the top of the keeper sheet. It happens to be you, my friend.
Of course, I made the sheet.
We're going to start off with Kevin White. You got him for $1. The keeper tag is $5. What was the purpose of the move, and how do you feel about it?
I went into the draft wanting this was the guy I wanted from jump, from absolute beginning, and that's exactly what I did. I got the guy that I wanted. So I mean, it worked out. I only paid $1 for him, which was huge for me. I wasn't going to go into this pre-draft because of the fact of the rules. The way they were set up is it doesn't matter if a guy gets hurt. Whatever you paid, that's your guy. You're stuck with it. I didn't
Yep.
want that, so I said I was going to take the smallest risk possible, and I was nervous Kevin White wasn't going to make it at $1. But once I saw everybody else coming off the board, and it came down to me, Rich, and Lewis, and Lewis went with, I believe, Tate, and Rich went with Decker. Cha-ching, I was in there.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think it was a great move. And what's
He
funny
was a
is
top 10 NFL draft pick last
he
year.
was he was top 10, and everybody is talking about him this year.
Yes.
And I mean every analyst, every blowout potential article that you read, his name keeps popping up. So there's
If
some
there's one
validity.
thing I
I
know,
love it.
if there's one thing I know, it's wide receivers.
I completely agree. Next guy we have is Anthony. Anthony ended up getting LaShawn McCoy for $12, $25 keeper tag. What do you got to say about this
And
one?
this, at least, I crushed them for the Jonathan Stewart move, but this is 20 times better than that. I mean, this was a huge. He gets a guy who's a starting running back who could be a workhorse back if he could just stay healthy,
Yeah.
and he gets him for $12 in a running offense. I mean, yeah, this was absolute home run. And if it works out, he could even potentially keep this guy at $25.
Yep, I
Great
agree.
move.
I mean, anytime you get a running back and a value that's lower than what his actual keeper value is, that's phenomenal. I mean, you get $12 for this year. Yeah, he's got to pay 25 down the road, but if he pans out, that's
He's a $50, $60 back.
easily,
Yeah,
easily. And if it doesn't work out, it costs you $12.
game.
Yeah, sign me up every day. All right, the next team we have myself who goes after Des Bryant. We get him for $40. Keeper price is $72. How do you feel about that one?
I get it. You're going back to your natural roots that usually get you to the championship game, which is taking the risks. Because we all know that he's probably going to play week one, probably going to play week two, him and Romo. But either him or Romo usually go down by around week 4 or 5. So I'm going to assume that you're doing this with the intention after week 2 or 3 to move him and get something else, because you're waiting for that other shoe to drop with Romo injuring his collarbone or some kind of injury happening with Dez. So it's a great move right now because it's going to pay off. I gotta play you week one and deal with that headache. But again, it's a great move to start. Long term, I don't know. But right now, yes, absolutely solid.
I think it's great for this year. For this year, anytime
Look
you
at your
can
wide
get
receiving
a
crew: Dez
Dez
Bryant, T.Y., Cooper, and Evans. It's amazing.
and Des Bryant for $40 in a year where talent is at a premium and it's rare. This
Excellent.
is this is huge. I mean, yes, there are injury concerns, and yes, he could go down, but so could anybody else. I mean,
Anybody? That's a
all,
fact.
all, all these guys are injury prone. Andrew Luck, who I have on my roster, wasn't around last year either. So anything can happen. I think for now, when you're looking at this is a solid roster going into week one.
This arguably
This
could be the
feels
best
good.
wide receiving core on paper. This arguably could be
Eh,
on in our league.
yeah, it could be argued. It could be argued.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go for that, but that's why we play the games. So we'll see what happens. But I do like the acquisition, and for $40, I will do that every day. The next one we have is Rich going for Eric Decker for $1, keeper tag for $1. What do you got to say about this one?
This is the rich type move. Eh. But people forget Eric Decker was actually a really solid wide receiver last year
Yeah.
under Fitzpatrick. Excellent numbers, and I think those continue. So yeah, this is one of those under the radar type of moves that nobody really talks about, but it's very solid.
Yeah, I was
Very
on
solid.
I was on the same thing. At first, I was like, Eric Decker, like blah. And then I looked at the numbers and I'm like, Eric Decker, I like it. I like it. So I like this move. It fits Rich. It's what Rich does. He just, you look at this roster, you see Eric Decker, you see a
Derek
Kelvin
Carr
Benjamin, you see a Derek Carr, and most likely a Julio Jones.
and Devontae
That's a
Smith.
rich team.
Hmm.
That's a rich team. I like it. All right, the next one we have Pops pays $50 for Todd Gurley, the highest guy out there. His keeper tag is $32. What do you got to say about this move?
Look, I'll be honest. I haven't been a fan of Pops' offseason at all. At all. I think it's been an atrocious offseason for him because he hasn't done much of anything, and his team is getting older. He doesn't
Mhm.
realize that, but he's one of those. He's getting like the San Antonio Spurs, I guess you could say, in a sense. When they're starting
Yeah,
to get old, you have to start playing because Aaron Rodgers isn't getting younger, and he apparently wants to keep Mark Ingram, who's not getting any younger. So he has the influx in Allen Robinson, but this move of Todd Gurley is huge. Absolutely great move. This is the one move out of anything that I really love that he's done because not only does he get Todd Gurley for this year, who's going to be a top five back, but he also gets him as a keeper tag of 32. So he can keep him realistically for future years. That's a very fair number at $32.
absolutely. And I agree with this. Todd Gurley was the best acquisition. He is a premium talent. My biggest thing to Pops is please, for the love of God, move Mark Ingram. Get him off your roster or just not keep him and move a wide receiver for more cash because I still think you can get a better player than a Mark Ingram and still have more money. I mean, that's a fact. So to me, it just doesn't make sense. But I agree with you. Todd Gurley move, 100% makes sense. 100% love it. Next team, Dennis, the man coming back, gets himself a Keenan Allen, pays $30, keeper tag 19. What do you got to say about that one?
This is Dennis. This is what Dennis is doing. A little by little, very quietly, all of a sudden, he has a top three quarterback and a
Yep.
top 10 wide receiver and over $110 to go into the draft. Steve, as I said before, start
Yeah.
looking over that shoulder, bro, because he's rock solid, rock solid.
Absolutely, and look, I mean, let's be honest. I don't think that Dennis is not capable of doing it. He's always proven that he's capable of putting a legitimate roster, no matter what the situation. And teams should be scared of him because the fact is, even if he completely does awful in the draft, he's going into next year with Cam Newton and Keenan Allen. But we all know he's going to find the guy at $1 who's going to be on everybody's hit list next year. And we're all going to be knocking on that door asking the question, hey, are you ever thinking about selling this guy? Because look what happened. He came into the league, he had Ray Rice. Hold on to Ray Rice for $1. He will find that guy. I guarantee you he will find that guy. Do I think Keenan Allen will be there next year? No, I don't. I don't think I get why he did it this year, maybe as insurance, but I think his drafting's too good. Keenan Allen won't even be on that roster next year, and he'll have, I guarantee you, three guys with two of them being at $5 or less.
Yep, yep.
Mark my words. All right, next one. We have Dom going for Lamar Miller for $42. Keeper tags $1. What do you think about this one?
Well, Lamar Miller, the way that I see that with him is it's another high risk, high reward, kind of like what I was talking with an earlier deal because the potential is all there, and if it works out, he has him for $1 for the future, but he paid 40 plus for him for this year. That is very, very, very risky. I'm I'm not a fan of taking risks, but I guess in this draft he has no choice because the talent isn't out there. But if it works out for Lamar Miller because the talent is there, it's a home run.
Yeah, and I personally don't like it at all. I don't think you should have paid that much. And the reason why is I've never been a big Lamar Miller fan, and you could attest to this. I've never been a Lamar Miller fan, even before prior years. When he was in Miami, I was just never a fan of his. I get it. I get it conceptually. Lamar Miller's $1. You get to pair him up with an AJ Green who's $5. You get to enter next year's draft with only $6 out of your cap. I get it. It makes total sense. But we're talking about this year, and if
Not good.
Lamar Miller is not the guy, you just wasted $42 this year, which is a lot of money and could set you back.
I think Dom's made it pretty clear that his goal is he's looking for the future
Yeah.
with these two moves that he's done. Trading Odell Beckham and paying this much because that's $6 he's only going to have next year. Those two guys. And we got one more. I know we're
Yep.
running low on time. So Lewis with
Yes.
Golden Tate.
Yeah. I mean, this one is it Golden Tate. I mean, it's the
$3.
Lions. $3. It doesn't
I'm not a big
excite
fan
me.
of it. I feel that there was other guys he could have gone after at that time. Matt Forte, Eric Decker was on the board, Kevin White was on the board, and he just went with Golden Tate. And I'm just like, I mean, again, he's not a bad player. He will be on a fantasy roster, so this
Yeah.
is just low risk, low reward. I think is one of those moves. It's just not
Exactly.
much of anything.
All right. So that deals with that. Let's rank it. Who had the best off season? Who didn't have the best off season? Tell me why. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, I mean, as far as the best off season, I would have to say D Town. D-Town and yourself, I would have to say, and lucky enough, you two are both in the same division. I look at your roster, the receivers that you have, and you have Luck coming back healthy. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Again, Luck, Mike Evans, T.Y. Hilton, Amari Cooper, and Des Bryant. That's a problem. You probably have already 70 points right there just between those guys alone a
That-
game. So that's huge. And then D-Town, again, what he walked into with the mess that he has and what he's actually showing right now, amazing.
Yeah, and I on my board, I personally wrote down I have the powers because you guys have done phenomenal trades this year, and I get what you guys are doing as far as picking up Mr. White.
Kevin White.
Yeah, Kevin White. I loved it, and I think that was you guys are primed and set for first. And then I got to agree with you. D Town has done phenomenal in the offseason. He was able to move trash for money. He was able to get guys for cheap, and he was able to find himself a star quarterback. If you can do that in one off season, you deserve to be in the winners bucket.
Yep.
All right, now our losers, my friend. Who's at the bottom of the barrel?
Losers is very simple. We have Dom, Pops, and Lewis. I mean, that to me is where it's at. And Dom, I'm iffy on just because of the last couple of moves that he did. Those later trades really helped him in trading away Benjamin and trading away Cooper and the cash he got. But my only concern is again, where are you going to spend that money? Who's out there that you can really make a difference with? But definitely Pops. I said it earlier. His team's getting older. He has Allen Robinson, but Allen Robinson last year, a lot of the numbers was because his team was playing from behind. They didn't have a red zone back, and Julius Thomas missed time early. Julius Thomas is back this year. He's healthy. They signed Chris Ivory for the red zone, and the defense is improved. All that tells me is, yeah, he may still put up yards, but his numbers overall are going to go down as far as touchdowns.
I 100% agree with you. I had the same guys on my list. I had Lewis down there simply because of the acquisitions and the way he did trades. I just wasn't a big fan of, and he didn't really help himself to improve his roster. I had Dom on there because he sold the farm, and I'm looking at the talent that's available out there, and I'm looking at it as he's got to literally get the top three guys that are available on that board. Otherwise, I'm questioning that roster. And then with Pops, I mean, I'm on the fence with Pops. I mean, I get it, and I kind of want
He's
to put
still
him there,
making
and I kind
playoffs.
of
I
won't.
think he's still a playoff team, but
Yeah,
I don't think his team improved. That's my problem
if
with it.
if he can move and not have Ingram and can move a receiver that's on his roster for either another player for cheaper and get money out of it, then he's completely off this list. But until then, I have to leave him there, and I agree with you.
Yep.
All right.
That's wait. What we're gonna do here is because of our constraints that we have with our videos, we're gonna get ahead. We're gonna come back with our second video, part two of this. So make sure you guys stay tuned. We're gonna talk draft. We're gonna talk targets. We're gonna talk draft order. Stay tuned. We will be back. Peace.